Networking is one of those things that everybody should be doing within their business, whether they be in sales, they're a business owner, even within a corporation. You get situations where you've got to get out to networking functions or social events. Most people hate it, but it's because they don't necessarily know what to do or how to do it. So I'm going to focus on a couple of key things that I think make networking easier. The first one I want to point out is that when most people go to a networking function is not about you. And what I mean by not about you is that you have to really make it about others. Most people want to generate business, find out who's interested in hearing about what they do and where they work, or maybe what their business or occupation is. When you take an interest in others, inevitably what that leads back to is people eventually asking about you. And the more interested you are in others and what they're doing and ask great questions, the more people come back to be able to say, well, geez, I'm interested in talking about you. It's your turn. Tell me about it. And so I always want to get back to that focus of let's give me the chance to talk about me. But the best way to open things up is to start to be able to ask people questions about themselves. To do that, I always like to have anywhere from 5 to 10 things that I can ask them about. Now, these are not rocket science items. These range from the obvious one that everybody starts with, the weather, right? It could relate to a sports event, a football game that just took place, or a hockey game the night before. It could be related to even something on the person. Very often, a very good friend of mine who's one of the best salespeople and networkers I know, she always, when she meets ladies, finds something, whether it be, I love your shoes, I love your handbag. It starts the conversation off, and then eventually they get back into talking about the business and about me is really where I want to take things. The second piece of networking that I think is pretty critical is once you get good at bringing up a few things and being able to have a dialogue, is this idea of being able to ask questions. Questions are absolutely a key. I just need to get really good, and this is something you need to practice, is the ability to continue to ask somebody questions. If they say their business is in construction, you may ask, well, how long have you been in it? Who owns the business with you? Is it a family business? What do you enjoy most about it? And you have the ability to start to be able to fire questions at people to keep a conversation going. This is actually a skill that really does require practice. Most people don't practice it, and therefore they get into a situation and they don't know what to do next. The third thing that I want to focus on is the idea of information. The idea of networking is to get information. The reason I say get information is so often people meet you, shake hands, we have a conversation, and they say, well, here, let me give you a card. And they take a business card and they hand it to you. The challenge with this is that you give all of the power to the person who walks away with the business card. In this case, if you and I were working together, I would want to get a card from you, and I want to get information. I'm not so concerned about how many cards I hand out. I'm most concerned about the number I collect. The reason for that is that if I've got your card, now I've got your information. I can put you in my database. I can follow up based on our conversation. I have some power. So often people hand out a card, and the challenge they run into is that they don't have the ability, they're back in the hope program. I hope they call, I hope they email me, I hope they buy something. So I always love the idea of first off having a business card. The other thing I want to always be carrying with me is a pen, so that you have the ability to be able to, in the instant, as you walk away from somebody, to make some notes. Because inevitably, particularly if it's maybe Christmas time or festive where you're having a couple drinks, you won't necessarily remember the things you talked about. And there's nothing more powerful than a week or two later being able to pull that card, phone the person and say, you know, we met at such and such a function. We talked about this, this, and this, and I really wanted to continue that conversation with you. It shows people how professional you are, how prepared, how thorough, and really indicates that you're the kind of person they likely will do business with. Those are some of the first steps I take to starting to become a better networker, and things are going to drive more business for you.